is Waiting is the gospel according to Tyler Perry, which reveals how faith helped him through the toughest times of his life, guided him to become a one-man media empire, and just helped him walk the walk. Please welcome the most fabulous Tyler Perry.
Really awesome.
Hey.
Hey.
What's going on, man?
How you doing?
So, I'm good. You've written this book, Higher is Waiting. You talk about how your faith sustained you through some really, really hard times. And what made you decide now was the time to write the book?
Well, you know, a lot of people have been asking me advice for years, and I've been the counselor to a lot of my friends who call me up. What do I do in this situation? Having marital issues. I'm having issues with trying to get higher in my life. I'm having issues with my family. So I've been journaling for years, so I finally decided to put it all in the book. But it's so personal and it's so intimate. There were a lot of things I wouldn't talk about until after my mother had passed. And she passed in 2009, so I felt liberty to be able to write some of the things and some of the stories I told. Yeah.
And it really is very personal, especially when you write about your relationship with your father.
Yeah.
And how your faith really helped you deal with what was obviously a very difficult time for you. Can you tell us a little bit about your faith journey? Because I was struck by the fact that you seem to have always had that.
Yeah, well, my mother was a woman who endured a lot, but what she had was faith. She didn't have some great legacy. She didn't have millions of dollars, but she taught me about God and about Christ and took me to church. And what I found is what she knew is that if you don't give your children something, they will turn to something in the time of crisis. So I'm glad for me it was God and faith. So yeah, without her, I wouldn't be here. I had one of those mothers who loved me, who was disciplined, who was strong, unconditionally. That's right, for sure.
You know, they say if you have a great mother, you've won the lottery.
Is that right?
Yes.
Well, I won it big time. I won it big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a rather difficult time in our country. And
You think?
I think so. We talk about it every day. And you addressed that in a speech that you gave when you were named favorite humanitarian at this year's People's Choice Award.
Yeah.
Let's watch that for a second.
You turn on your phones, you turn on your television, you're met with darkness, negativity, death, destruction, terrorism, murder, hate, racism. You know, you don't even need to search for it because it's searching for you. It can find you. It's right there beside you. It's in your pocket. And you have to be careful that when you have things that close to your pocket that they don't seep into your heart.
Wow.
Yeah. You can't get away from it these days. You know, I had to unplug for like the last few weeks. I've just unplugged because the last 24 months have been very difficult for me, just with all the negativity. I'm not a person that likes to dwell in it. So I just unplugged and started to fast and to not watch so much news. Step back for a minute, cleanse myself. Let me just be okay. And what I found is that really tragic things will still find its way to you in this day and age. You don't have to go looking for it. It's going to find you. Yeah.
But there are people who have lost their faith because of these trying times. And some people who use their faith in some weird way, too. What do you say to all that?
I don't know why it's so weird, but because for me, I'm screwing down tighter in these times, just because you know, when there's so much uncertainty and you don't feel like there's a lot of good going on. Every day there's something else negative. For me, it's very important to focus on what I know and go back to what my mother taught me, to pray and to believe. So that's why I wanted to write this book, to let people know, you know, there is a higher place. You don't have to live low. You don't have to live low in whatever it is in your life. Finances, love, relationships. There is a higher place if you reach for it.
When they go low, we get high.
Is that right? Is that right? You get high. You get high. You get high.
I like how Tyler starts nodding. He's like, wait.
You get high. Get high.
But Tyler, you give some advice for people with big dreams, and you say you got to protect them. When did you start to do that?
When I started running into dream killers all the time. Those are the people who walk around and tell you, oh, you're never going to be this or you're never going to make it. I had a school teacher who tell me, she said, you're never going to be, he was asking class what they wanted to be. I said, I wanted to be a millionaire and a businessman. He said, you're never going to make it because you're poor and you're black. So to have a teacher,
was he
no, he wasn't.
No.
He wasn't. Yeah, he was a black teacher.
Real dream killer.
Yeah. So then I started to protect them and hold them closer and hide them for myself, so that as I got older, I would realize I got this little nugget over here, like a newborn that I'm going to protect. And when they were no longer fledgling and they were strong, I could show them to the world.
Yeah.
Do you think the teacher is kind of going, damn?
His words.
I would sure like to see him today. I really would. I really would.
I'm sure he sees you.
You know, you were speaking about your mother, Maxine, and you have an entire chapter in your book dedicated to her. I think that I love that. That's so beautiful. What do you want the world to know about her?
You know, I would talk about how wonderful and how much love she had, but there was something about her that was one of her greatest flaws that I think I would like to share with the world, and I wrote about it in the book. This chapter is called Getting to Worthy. There's so many people in the world that don't feel worthy. You don't feel worthy of going higher. You don't feel worthy of good things. You don't feel, for whatever reason, what someone said to you as a kid or however you grew up or something your husband's saying to you. And my mother lived her whole life that way. And if I could get one person to read this book and walk away feeling that they're worthy just because you're here, just because God said you're worthy and his thoughts toward us are good and pure and not evil, is to give us hope and love and a future. If I can get people to understand, one person to understand that, and one little boy doesn't...
Go ahead. It's all right.
I'm sorry, my mother, when I talking about my mother. One little boy... If one little boy in my shoes can look at his mother and see that she got it, then I've done what I'm supposed to do. Yeah.
And talk about one little boy.
Yeah.
The book is dedicated to Armand.
Yeah, my son.
Your son.
Yeah.
He's 3.
Oh, I'm getting ready to be wiped out now. I think I'm more emotional than you are right now.
I'm going with you right now.
I mean, how's it been, man?
It's been incredible. You know, I dedicated to him, I say, to my son and my SUN son. And he's been my healer, because what I found is that every time I hug him... she makes me laugh. She makes me laugh. Me too.
It just is wonderful. And you know why I love you doing it? Because